Hey guys, what is going on? It's Brian. It's been a couple weeks since I updated, and I actually had a little noteworthy experience, or I guess, should I say mishap. I'm sorry, it's actually like twilight right now, so all the motion censored lights are going to be going on and off on this video. But today, or actually this whole weekend, has just been a nightmare with the Jeep. Not so much a nightmare, just a really labor-intensive week and with the Jeep. So what happened was, as you can see, my Jeep is caked in mud. Had a pretty solid week of off-roading. Actually, it wasn't solid, but had a pretty intense off-roading experience in the Jeep. So real quick, my girlfriend wanted to go to the New Jersey Pine Barrens, which are out towards like the center of New Jersey, and they have a park there called Wharton State Forest. It's a national park. I'm gonna stay over here actually because my air conditioner is going on and off. It's like 90. But so she wanted to go there, and there was a lake there. I forget what it was called. I think it was the Mantua Lake. It had a pretty cool beach. We wanted to drive down there. We thought we could just park the Jeep, hang out by the lake, and we couldn't. It was like blocked off, or I think it was like a trail that was restricted to only like foot traffic. So anyway, we can't do that. So we're out there. We're like an hour away from home. We're like, well, let's make the most of it. So we went down this fire road. Like it was like a fire access road, and it has a bunch of small trails that branch off that you can take your 4x4 on, and they're pretty smooth for the most part, but they do get kind of dicey. And we got to a mud hole, and I wasn't going fast enough. I kind of knew it, and we just kind of plunged right in, and centered myself on like some of the solid ground in the mud puddle, and my tires were spinning. I was like, okay. So I get out, jump into the mud, get my winch out. We winch ourselves out. Now, the way the mud hole was, it was kind of like there was like a rut, and then so the Jeep was down there, and then as it went back up, there was solid ground. So I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be able to winch out, because what I thought the winch was going to do was pull me up onto the solid ground, or through the solid ground is what I was fearing, which wouldn't do us any good. But luckily the winch actually yanked us all the way up. It kind of dragged through. Like, I'm not sure if you can see it, that may help. But so the front diff has like a lot of like grass and mud on it, because the winch actually just kind of yanked us back up over it. But so we got out, and then there was another mud hole there wasn't a rut, but we got stuck in there too. So we winched out, and I had the winch controller, and I couldn't actually get back to the door. So I just told my girlfriend to get into the driver's side, and she says, hey, the brake light is on. And I was like, okay, maybe there's like some mud on the calipers, whatever. So I tell her to give it a little gas, and we get out. I hop in the driver's seat, press the brake, and it just goes flat to the floor, and there's just like no resistance at all. And I'm like, shit, the brakes don't work. I had no brakes. So I just limped the Jeep back down to down the fire road to a main road, and I initially called my roadside assistance through my insurance, and then Danielle was talking to her brother or her mom about what happened, to see if she could pick her up because of COVID, even though it's not really here. Still, they like to abide by the social distancing, so the tow truck driver would not be able to give us a ride home. So Danielle's mom was gonna come and pick us up, but her brother overheard us, and he was like, hey, I've got a flatbed trailer. I can just, if you have a winch, you can just winch yourself up and I can take you out. So that's what we did. He took us out, he came, picked us up, put my Jeep on the flatbed. We rode with him, and he was like, maybe I can actually fix this. I mean, I checked I was like, I'm not sure. I think there's a hole in the brake line somewhere, because the reservoir on top of the master cylinder was completely empty. But he's like, well, let's just check it out. So we get some brake fluid, we stop at an AutoZone. Obviously, like, we just sat there in the parking lot and just, you know, looked at it. And it wasn't as uncomfortable as I thought it may have been, because we were on the flatbed, so we had like a pretty solid spot to work. So we pour some brake fluid in, I'm pressing the brake, and he sees it. I'll actually see if I can show you. He sees it shooting out of, where is it? Out of this line right here. So he's like, okay, this line right here had actually completely corroded and rusted through. So honestly, I was kind of happy that it happened when it did, because I'd rather the brake line rust out and my brakes fail when I'm on a trail all alone going less than 10 miles an hour than being on the highway going 70 miles an hour and have my brakes give out. So it was like bittersweet. I was like, okay, this sucks, but it could have been a lot worse. But so yeah, so he was like, let's just go grab some brake line and repair this. So we got some new brake line, ran it all the way through, cut out the old brake line, or unscrewed it and had to cut some of it out. So he starts trying to bleed the brakes, and then this line right here just burst open. It's rubber, so it had burst open. And sorry, I'm like getting bit up like crazy out here, but it burst open. And we went back into that AutoZone, the AutoZone we were parked at, and we asked if they had this part, and they were like, no, we don't, but the AutoZone further up the road in Berlin does. So get back in the trailer, drive further up, go to the AutoZone in Berlin, and get that you know, brake hose, put it on, and he goes to bleed the brakes, and then we hear a pop up here. So up here, I'm not gonna take the hood out or pop the hood, but we thought it was the master cylinder. So we're like, crap, okay, that didn't work. So at this point, we've replaced the one brake line, the other brake line, now the master cylinder fails. So the second AutoZone we're parked at in Berlin, we asked them, do you have a master cylinder for an 01 Wrangler? And they're like, no, we don't, but the AutoZone further up the road. So we go even further up the road, and we buy a master cylinder. And at this point, we're like, okay, we have a master cylinder for the Jeep, but we're kind of hungry, so we all go to a bar down the street, get some wings, have a couple beers, and then we bring the Jeep back to that AutoZone, pop the hood, put in the master cylinder, and then we start hearing some hissing coming from the area where the master cylinder is. And then we realized it was the brake booster that went bad. So unfortunately, our luck ended here. We couldn't find an AutoZone that had the brake booster in stock. So we just ordered it from the AutoZone. They said they'd have it for us the next day, meaning today. So my girlfriend's brother drops us off at my house, and he just tows the Jeep back to his place. And he lives in Mount Airy over in Philly. And so he just tows it over there. He's like, just, you know, pick up the part from the AutoZone, come over to my place, and we'll knock it out during the day. So come to his house today after I pick up the part, and we get the brake booster out. And oh man, that was a pain. You have to like go under the dash down here, like up under there to get to it. There, my hand's in the way, but you have to get up there. And so we get the brake booster. Now let me zoom out again. Got an idiot working the camera here. There we go. So we get the brake booster in, bleed all the brake lines, and I go and take it for a ride, and I'm getting like the Jeep's braking, but then the brakes give out right around the corner from her brother's house, and this line broke too. So we go to an AutoZone around the corner from him in Philly, get another brake line, install it, and at this point we basically replaced the entire brake system on the Jeep. So we do that, and then he bleeds the brakes in the front. We put in new brake bleeder screws, and then finally get it squared away to where it stops safely. It didn't stop as well as it did prior to this fiasco, and we realized the drum brakes in the back, they need to be replaced, or the components in the back, I don't actually remember what they're called, but they needed to be replaced. So it was enough for me to limp my Jeep back home. No, I wouldn't say limp, but I get the Jeep back home and, you know, go from there. So it's gonna sit here. I took my oscillating sprinkler from the front yard, put it under here for a while just to get some of the dirt and crud out from under there from four-wheeling. Still got to clean off the rest of it. It sucks. I just polished this last weekend, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, so we're gonna get the rear brake squared away because my girlfriend and I are going to Assateague Island down in Virginia at the state park down there to go camping with our pop-up camper. And obviously, if I'm towing a camper, I'm going to want the brake system to be in optimal functioning condition. So yeah, that's my story. It's been a weekend. I have work tomorrow, and I spent my 2 days off, just Saturday and Sunday, just getting at this guy. You know, this is probably the most of a problem this Jeep has ever given me in the almost 4 years that I've owned it. I think it may actually, wait, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, 4 years I've owned it now. And I guess it was just time. But, you know, we got a new brake line in there. Entire brake line and brake system all put together in there. Probably saved myself at least $800 because my girlfriend's brother's awesome. But just figured I'd share that in this quick video because I haven't uploaded in a couple weeks. But I'm gonna try and get some footage from Assateague, and hopefully I can put that together and share it with you guys. And not sure if I'll get to upload that before we move out of my house and into our new house. But I'll keep you guys posted. Take care.